With back to school right around the corner, many parents are beginning to ask themselves what type of school is best for their children. This question is particularly important for parents with children that require special education services. While there is not a right or wrong choice for your child, it is important to know the legal requirements that each type of schooling system must meet for special needs students to make the most informed decision you can. Regardless of which school system you choose, one of the most important things you can do as a parent is be your child's advocate and get involved in their education. Public schools. The Federal Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, is a law that makes available a free appropriate public education, FAPE, to eligible children with disabilities throughout the nation and ensures special education and related services for those children. Under this act, special education and related services must be provided by the public school system at no cost to the parent, meet the standards of the state, and be in conformity with the student's individual education plan. IDEA also funds early intervention for children with recognizable disabilities to minimize the problem and developmental delay. Additionally, under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, public schools cannot discriminate based on their disability, meaning they must accept all students who apply, including those with disabilities. Each child with special needs in public school must have an individual education plan or IEP. In it, a guardian and the child's district-level team will lay out a plan and benchmarks based on the child's goals and needs. If a child isn't progressing as expected, their guardians or team members can call a meeting to decide what to do next. Although IDEA has been incredibly successful in improving the quality of education for this population, there are continued challenges. Some of those challenges include poor assessments, limited training for teachers, large class sizes, lack of services, staff support, and legibility barriers to prevent students from receiving special education. Private schools. While public schools are bound to a plethora of state and federal laws, the same cannot always be said about private schools. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, which covers special education law, does not apply to individuals placed in private schools, including religious schools, by their parents. This does not automatically mean that private schools will not accommodate students with special education needs. In fact, many private schools will voluntarily follow a similar framework as public schools for academic accommodations. However, most will have a unique process for accommodations that are specific only in that school's program. It is extremely important to discuss early on with the school's principal or administrator about that process and to receive that information in writing. Depending on the amount of federal funding the school receives, if any, the school may be required to follow portions of Section 504, meaning the school cannot discriminate against a child with a disability for reasons related to the disability and might be responsible for providing modifications and accommodations. For example, most private schools are willing to provide some minor classroom accommodations, such as extended time for tests, but they are not required to do more. Because private schools are not bound to the same regulations and protections regarding special education as public schools, if an issue or disagreement does arise within your child's private school, it may be more difficult to challenge that decision by way of legal action. This also means that unlike public schools, private schools can accept or reject any students they choose to. Also, it's important to know that some private schools require teachers to be certified and some do not. This means that special education teachers at private schools may or may not be trained in evidence-based practices, and students may or may not receive services in a separate area within the school. It is best to contact individual private schools to learn whether they require teacher certification and their approach to educating students with special needs. Private schools could be a phenomenal option if you have found that public schools do not meet your child's needs. While they are not obligated to meet the minimums of education law, some schools are tailored for students with autism and learning disabilities and will voluntarily exceed the minimums required at public schools. This can make them a wonderful option for families who do not feel as though their children's needs were met by the public school system. While there is no one-size-fits-all solution to determining the best school system for your child, it is always important to take your child's unique needs along with legal requirements into consideration. At the end of the day, the goal is to find an environment that allows your child to reach their full potential where they feel comfortable and confident. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and leave your comments below. Together, we can change how the education system works.